Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lucy. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Good, good, good. Good to see you this beautiful morning. I'm going to just start as we wait for the others. And this month we're starting a new series on bold stewardship, which is about how we take care of what we have. And of course, we shall be looking at it from very, very various perspectives. Yeah, Judy Karibu. Good to see you, Judy Kabukulu. You're welcome to the session. I know the others are on their way. Yeah, so today we're looking at bold stewardship. And probably we can just take time to answer either of these questions. Number one, what was your worst ever financial blunder? What was your worst ever financial blunder in terms of a blunder you ever made financially? And then number two, you'll also choose between these two. Would you describe a wealthy person you know? Someone who is wealthy. What did it look like, especially even when we were young? Because next week we shall also be exploring our money beliefs, our money blueprints. How did we learn about money? What did we learn about money? Who taught you? You have the right perspective even about wealth and just different aspects and dimensions of wealth. Yeah, so Lucy, do you want to go first? Judy? Hi, Judy, do you want to go first and answer any of these questions, either of them? All right, let me allow Lucy to go first. Hi, Lucy.
Okay. Hi.
Yeah, please go ahead and answer any of these questions.
The worst financial blunder I've ever done. It's using my finances to finance to finance other people.
Hi, Lucy. Sorry about you. I don't know you're muted. Ole, did I mute you by mistake?
Sorry, I was saying,
Huh?
Hello?
Hi,
Can you
Lucy.
hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah, I can hear you. You're sharing on the worst ever financial blunder.
Yeah, using my hard-earned money to finance other people's projects at the expense of my own. Yeah.
Were you feeling like you went out of your way to finance other people's projects?
Yeah, but now when I needed them at my worst, they were never there.
Oh yeah. By that will be a financial blunder.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, seems like
Yes.
you just someone who keeps on creating, because we'll also be looking at what deep wealth means. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Lucy. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's so good to have you here for being number one. Leo and your index one for this month series. Yeah, so good to have you. All right. Judy, are you happy to share? Welcome, Audrey. Welcome, Rosemary.
Good morning.
Morning, Judy. Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you for this opportunity that you can listen about finances. So the blunder that I have ever made, it's living beyond my budget and getting into debts because I want to live better life and my income is way down than my expenses. So living beyond my expenses. Yeah. Living beyond my budget.
So living beyond your income and your means.
Yes.
And so spending up and above. Thank you, Judy, for sharing and for just being vulnerable. I mean, we've made so many mistakes. And that is why when you're thinking about bold stewardship this month, we want to make things right. We want to just recover from those places. Thanks, Judy, for sharing. I'm celebrating you. And good to have you here. Audrey Karibu, I can also see, oh, she's dropped off. Audrey and Rosemary, you ladies can share as well. We are answering any of the above questions. You describe a wealthy person, you know, or what was your worst ever financial blunder? So I'll allow Rosemary to go and then Audrey, and then we'll go on. Rosemary,
Yeah, good
your worst
morning.
ever financial blunder. Good morning, Rosemary. Good to have you.
Yeah, good to have you this morning. The worst financial blunder I've ever did is I met a client friend of mine, and I invested in bitcoins. Put it this currency, and I had not done my due diligence, and it was quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
And of course, I would see she wasn't struggling and she was doing very well. But I think at that point when I was doing that kind of investment, I should have done some background check and some due diligence to know the market, how they are prevailing. And it's 2 years down the line, I think I lost that money. Because again, when I looked at those they skydived from what we had invested at to almost very, very, very low figures. So yeah, that's a very bad decision I'd made in terms of finances. It was painful. Anyway.
And I'm actually glad you can be able to talk about it today. Yeah, 2 years is not long ago, but because it's post-COVID, yeah, you can imagine how hard it can be, especially to lose an investment, because when we are investing, we are hopeful, we are positive. You know, you've bought in, especially if it was also a friend. Because you're like, this one, it's not even a stranger. There's someone I know, they have already seen results. Yeah, thanks, Rosemary, for sharing. Yeah, and thanks for just being vulnerable about your loss as well. Yeah, we appreciate that. Audrey? Hi, Audrey. Audrey, are you able to share? If not, we can just give you a pause. All right, so I think we will just go on and get into our thoughts for today. Let me also share worst ever financial blunder. I am also someone who struggles to read fine prints of things. And so I got into this investment. It was actually a good investment. Looking back right now, my husband is also a financial advisor, and he will actually be giving us some sessions later, still on this series. And I remember at that time we invested in a life policy. It was a good decision looking at it right now, but the problem is that we didn't read the fine print. So we were doing very high premiums in terms of the contributions. But we didn't know about that clause that if you're not able to contribute, we will actually lose the investment. And of course, that company, I don't know, but I just feel like they somehow, I don't know whether I will say they ensured we lost. The person who had, in quotes, recruited us into it didn't tell us the full disclosure. So it told us, no, don't worry, just do the highest amount you can be able to pay. If you're not able to pay, you won't lose anything. We'll just refund you your premium. So we're like, yeah, that's fine. And so 2 years, we went through a financial crisis. We're not able to contribute. I think we were contributing around 11,000, and it's more than 10 years ago. It was a lot of money. We're contributing around 13K every month. And so after contributing for 2 years, they were like, no, now the problem is you can't be able to redeem this money, blah, blah, blah. Right now, looking back, it's really making a lot of sense. And of course, right now I have lots of investments as well, still in the same capacity and even more. And I've really come to appreciate probably investments, and especially in this modes when I understood the fine print. So probably that is my financial blunder. And of course, having times that I had a lot of windfall cash, I made a lot of money and probably just spent it, gave it away, you know, instead of investing it and probably being more prudent with it. That is also something that I feel like has been a financial blunder in my past. Oh, Audrey has typed here. Thanks, Audrey, for sharing. So she said, please allow me to type in here. My worst ever financial blunder was to take a loan to finance a family member's business, and they never paid it back. It got me into serious debt that I've struggled to get out. So yeah, Audrey, that would be quite devastating, and really celebrate you for digging out of that situation. And of course, this month we shall just be focusing on bold stewardship in terms of how we can take better care of what God has entrusted to us, you know, and how we can also look at different perspectives of being able to take care of it and how to also, what to also do with it beyond that. All right. So this is the March roadmap. We will be doing bold steward today, looking at the bold steward and what it looks like to be that. And then we shall be looking at the steward's beliefs. So we shall be looking at our belief system. Money investments, like how do we think? And then we shall be looking at multiplying talents in terms of how we can optimize what we have, where we are, and also the different resources, because really bold stewardship doesn't have to do with money only, it's all your resources. So you shall just be able to understand this week and next week how rich you are in so many other things that you can still capitalize on, especially when you're thinking about harnessing your brilliance, and just making the most of who you are and what you have, your internal resources. And then also we shall be thinking about legacy mindset in terms of things like generational wealth. How do you think long term? And then we shall also be doing a deep wealth retreat. This will be on 23rd of March. We shall be having a retreat on deep wealth, and it shall really, really be amazing. We're able to now to do practical things to assess our wealth and to, of course, to create a vision board and just visuals and a plan concerning where we want to go with all our internal resources, including money and many other resources we shall be defining. And so this is definition of wealthy. I want us to just think about wealth, rich, all these words that we use interchangeably and what they mean. And of course, also what are the implications of it. Sylvia K. Karibu. So I'm going to request Judy, please read for us what wealthy means. Just a definition of wealthy. We shall just take turns to read this script. Judy, are you ready?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing something. I'm on. I'm
Okay,
using.
you're on transit.
Yes, I'm using an earphone.
No worries. Okay. So no worries. Lucy, are you able to read?
Yes, I can.
All right, please go ahead.
Someone who is wealthy has a large amount of money, property, or valuable possessions. When someone is wealthy, their assets are more substantial than their liabilities, allowing the assets to generate an income large enough to cover fixed expenses.
Awesome. And so this is a picture of wealth. Of course, we're looking at it from, first of all, the first impression of what we think wealthy is. Yeah, thank you, Lucy. Lucy, also read for us this one. Then I will allow Rosemary to come up and read the next. So I want to look at the difference between rich and wealthy.
Rich people may focus more on spending and maintaining a certain lifestyle, while wealthy people may prioritize accumulating assets that produce income or appreciate value. Wealthy refers to... I have a small baby.
It is well. We are glad to have that baby. That is part of your wealth. And you are rich.
Yes. Thank you. Wealthy refers to the affluence that crosses generations.
Yeah. Oh, that is a cute baby right there. And thank you, Lucy, for being a mom that is so intentional to even be here this morning with the baby. Yeah, and so this is the difference between rich and wealthy. Yeah, sometimes rich can be something that other people see, but beyond that, probably beneath the surface. It's temporary and probably it's something that can be exhausted. But wealthy feels more sustainable, something that runs across generations. And by now, as you're having this conversation, you can start thinking about wealthy people in Kenya in terms of its generational wealth. They've been able to accumulate assets. Those assets are producing income and they're appreciating in value, and they are able to, whatever they are accumulating is more than what they can exhaust, just from the previous definition. Their assets and the inflow of cash is more than expenses by far. But in a way, their fixed expenses can be paid even for 10 years without them working. Now that will be wealth. And of course, rich is how you're spending. I can really be blowing cash and everybody believes I'm rich, but maybe I'm deep in debt. Yeah, so those are the two divides of living. And then Rosemary, please read for us the wealthy modes.
The wealthy mode. Wealth includes financial wealth, time wealth, that's freedom, social wealth such as support, and health wealth, which comes in terms of physical and mental well-being.
Yeah, physical and mental well-being. And of course, when you're thinking about healthy modes, it's just that part of the different kinds of wealth, because many times we associate wealth with only money, with only, riches and things that can be the things that are tangible in terms of assets, but also to see financial wealth is just one more. We also have social wealth. Oh, let me talk to coming. Let's make it a bit organized. Yeah. So I was saying, like, some of us have a lot of freedom in terms of how you spend your time. That is, because there are people who are very poor when it comes to time. They don't have time for anything else, sometimes apart from work, whether it's a business that is holding you up, or maybe it's a career. Yeah, just that's part of, I don't have wealth when it comes to time. It's like I don't own any time. When it comes to time, I'm so poor, I'm not able to afford any time for anything extra. There are people who work 7 days a week. There are people who work 6 days a week. And of course, it's very intense. You know, in a way, you don't have freedom when it comes to time. And that time is a form of wealth. Social wealth also, in terms of our support systems. There's some of us who may not have money, but you are very, very rich when it comes to who comes through for you. You have people who will fight for you, take a bullet for you, people who really, really show up for you. And that is a form of wealth. And of course, also health wealth in terms of just having good health, you know, and just having that abundance in terms of I'm not sick, I'm not dependent on any drugs, I am not dependent on anything. Like my life has that form of freedom in terms of health and health wealth. And health wealth also means that, you know, I sleep well, I am eating well, I have energy for activities of daily living. I'm not struggling in that place. I'm not struggling with any addictions, you know, and all this also comes in form of physical and mental well-being in terms of other health, wealth, the wealth that we are describing here. And I really love this letter that John writes to one of his friends. He's called Gaius. And so he's writing to my dear brother Gaius. Dear friend, I know that you're spiritually well. I pray that you're doing well in every other way and that you are healthy. You know, there's another one that says, I pray that your soul will, you will prosper even as you've prospered, your spirit will prosper even as you prospered in your soul. Or even you will prosper in your soul even as you've prospered spiritually. And probably when John visited Gaius, he will see, yeah, this guy looks like he has it together on one end, but there are so many other ends that it doesn't look to have it together. And being able to be wealthy is actually that all-round kind of wellness that we shall be looking at. And for those of us who are here last month, just keep on carrying the SPICES acronym into this conversation as well, in terms of spiritual, physical, intellectual, commercial, emotional, and social. Those are forms of wealth that we shall be thinking about and dissecting. And of course, we shall be doing it in a very practical way when we shall be having the Deep Wealth retreat. And Deep Wealth, this is what it refers to, even as we shall be thinking about the retreat. This will be our perspective and our mode and just how we shall be thinking. I don't know who is happy to read for us. Audrey is not able to. Silvia, are you able to read for us? So good to have you here.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Right. Deep wealth refers to the abundance of inner resources that enable us to live a meaningful life and purposeful life. It is the wealth that is not dependent on material possessions or external circumstances, but rather on our own inner state of being.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Selva. Yeah. Of course, so good to see you. I know you also probably do, is it mentorship for women? What is Silva care about?
I am in the wellness space. Yeah, I'm a medical concierge. I offer connections medically, both locally and abroad.
Wow, wow.
Yes, I also run a caregivers association.
Wow. Yeah, seems like we have a lot of things to chat about. We'll probably do that on the side. Yeah, I'm so happy to have you.
Sure.
We have been seeing you here constantly. Yeah, celebrate what you're doing out there to also expatriate. And I don't know whether you repatriate people as well.
Yes, I do. To India, though. Yeah.
Wow. Looking forward to know more about that in future. Yeah, we shall have a networking session in future. We'll come and also just network over what we do, because we have deep wealth also in the Get Your Ball Back space. Yeah. Yeah. And so when you think about deep wealth, which will be the theme of our retreat, and we shall be focusing more in this in a practical way, it's the abundance of inner resources. Everything that you have within yourself that enables you to live a meaningful and purposeful life. And then it's not dependent on material possessions. So it's nothing to do with your financial portfolio and, you know, your bank statement and your M-Pesa. account balance, or even external circumstance in terms of I'm depending on other people, but it's your own inner state of being. And when you think about this picture, I really love this picture because it's just that part of intentionality, that it's been a journey. You know, this looks like a bean seed, it sprouted, it kept on growing. And of course, even when it's at this stage, this person is still showing it intentionality. And sometimes this feels like our lives, you know, we keep on growing and just making progress on these different areas of our lives. And deep wealth is being able to really invest in every part of myself. I keep on watering those plants and those small intentions and those small moves, because Get Your Ball Back is about making bold moves in our lives to change our situations, to change our trajectories and our story. And so this deep wealth will be our emphasis, and it will be the underlying tone in all these things we are doing. So let's go to stewardship, which is really the theme of our season. And stewardship in definition is just this: careful and responsible management of what has been entrusted to my care. It means being in charge of, having authority of or over, and being accountable to. So it has these three aspects. In charge, meaning that it's under my care authority, I have a say over it, and accountability, I'm answerable for. And so it's careful and responsible management. So I wanted to go back and just look at all those things we've been discussing so far in terms of deep wealth, in terms of just that aspect of wealth and riches and everything, in terms of its things that are tangible and that are intangible that I'm careful and responsibly managing. You know, everything that has been entrusted to my care, including my wealth in terms of my health wealth. I'm responsible for that, and I'm careful, and I'm taking responsible management of what has been entrusted to my care. And so everything that is in your care, not just money, but everything else, abilities you have and many other things. And this is the point where we will come and you'll be able to take stock of that. And so I am a bold steward. That is our slogan for today. Probably you can use this as even your hashtag as you post online, as you do everything, to remind yourself I'm a bold steward. I'm not afraid of taking care of whatever has been entrusted to me, and also making it grow. In a way, I'm taking risks. Sometimes a bold steward can still go through losses as they are taking risks. We were actually sharing our losses when we start. And we're just saying, by the way, I was a bold steward. I tried to step out in investment. It didn't work. I was a bold steward. I tried to help a relative. It didn't work. I was a bold steward. I tried to, probably I spent more, and it's because all these things were maybe important to me in that season. In a way, I was not just blowing cash, you know, and I was not just chopping money. I was actually thinking like this was a wise decision I was doing. I didn't understand that I had limitations in terms of how much I can spread out. That is still part of bold stewardship. And so I wanted to remind yourself this morning, even as you are here, Get Your Ball Back is getting your ball back in stewardship. And it's reminding yourself, I'm a bold steward. That is why I've burnt my fingers in opportunities here and there, but I never give up. And everything also belongs to Him in terms of God. I am the steward in charge. And I want you to list down everything that you feel like you're responsible for. Just think about things that are tangible, things that are not tangible that you're responsible for, and you believe you're a bold steward. So write down in terms of a whole assets list. Let me help us just because of time. If we didn't have the constraint of 1 hour, I would have let you guys crash your heads. But I would want to probably give you this list so that you can be able to think through with some level of guidance. And so this is a list of resources that you already have. So maybe you can list down some assets you have. Just write, I'm a bold steward of my car, of my house. In terms of assets, what else do you have? Think about people that are in your life, probably people that you're responsible for. I'm a bold steward of my daughter, my son, of my marriage if you're married. I'm a bold steward of probably my family if you take care of them. I'm a bold steward of my friends. You can just list down people that are in your life that you care for. Some of us are probably also employers or maybe employees or supervisors. You are also a bold steward of all people who are under your care. And so just write, I'm a bold steward of, and then you start listing down all the things and the people you are responsible for. I'm also a bold steward of my time in terms of how do you spend your time? Do you have a to-do list and a weekly checklist? Do you have a goal map that is guiding you this year? Do you have a to-do list for every month in terms of the things that are part of your goals, but they are micro goals? I'm a bold steward of my experiences. What have you gone through that you feel you're responsible for? You can type on even on your phone if you don't have a notebook close by. Just go to the notepad on your phone and start typing. And so we are starting with a statement, I'm a bold steward of, and then you start listing down things you're stewarding or you're taking care of. I'm a bold steward of my giftings. How are you gifted? What are some of the things you're amazing at doing? Personally, I'm a bold steward of my coaching, of my training. I'm a bold steward of my writing. I'm a bold steward of probably my content creation. I'm a bold steward of my family. I'm a bold steward of my marriage. I'm a bold steward of my motherhood. I'm a bold steward of even the people that work with me in terms of my team, and also even my house help, my nanny in the house. I'm a bold steward. Think about your potential in terms of things that you have possibilities of doing. Maybe some of us are planning to go back to school. Yeah, I'm a bold steward. Even in that sense, I'm a bold steward of my potential in terms of, probably my future career goals. I'm a bold steward of things that I have, things that will never come to me. I'm a bold steward of my management skills. I'm a bold steward of my consultancy skills. Just think about the potentials you have. And also virtues. What are some of the amazing things you are and you do? Some of us are here and maybe you are, in terms of your virtues, you are a kind person, you are generous, you are resourceful, you are helpful. Yeah, I'm a bold steward, even in that way, of all the virtues in my life. And soft skills, yeah, some of us, we have a lot of soft skills. Maybe it's good customer relations. They're just things you're good at that you flow so well in. So, right, I'm a bold steward of that. I'm a bold steward of. Keep on writing your list, keep on populating it. Like we said, this is a coaching session. And in coaching session, what we normally do is do the work on the ground. So right now, as you're doing this, you're creating some context and some reference for yourself. I'm a bold steward of, and then we go on, I'm a bold steward of my knowledge. What are some of the things you know, in terms of, yeah, probably I have so many know-hows. These are even things that maybe are self-taught, things that you just good at, you're amazing at. Now I'm a bold steward of maybe even things like interior design. Some of us are very self-taught kind of people. I'm a bold steward of trainings and, probably of auditing, bold steward of, organization, bold steward of just things like event planning. Maybe you're a very good planner. Think about your gifts as well. Leadership, servanthood, bold steward of gifts. What are some of the gifts you have? In a way, you're so good at it. And then also list down your credentials. I'm a bold steward of, my master's in this, my degree in this, my diploma in this, my accreditation in all these bodies. I'm a good steward. I'm a bold steward. We don't talk about good steward. It's bold steward because sometimes we do so many things afraid. When you're thinking about bold stewardship, it's because I am not afraid to take risks. So today we are reminding ourselves of all the places that we'll want to take risks, we'll want to be more intentional, we'll want to step out of our comfort zone. I'm a bold steward of dash. Keep going on with your list of all your credentials. Write them down here. Your certificate in marketing, your diploma in IT, your degree in psychology, sociology, religion, in your master's, your MBA, all those credentials you have. Bold stewardship. Some of us probably sometimes feel like we're not utilizing everything we have. But you know what? Part of bold stewardship is still being able to look for opportunities and also to be able to make peace with some of the things. I've actually mentioned my credentials in terms of where I started. I had certificate in sales and marketing, post computer studies. Kitambo computer studies was a real certificate. Karibu we frame. Now we scan, now laminate. Nowadays, they want proficiency in terms of being able to practice what you know. And then later I did my diploma in IT. Can you imagine I did IT? And for me, bold stewardship is I don't do anything to do with IT. I think after practicing for around 5 years, I was actually aware that I was a bit of academic wastage in sorts of way. because I was not passionate about IT. It was actually my mom's idea. But I still use my IT a lot, bold stewardship. Like if you look at my website, I did it myself. If you look at my posters for events, I normally do them. Like most of the posters I actually did them. Yeah, sometimes I can really get a surge of creativity and really do a lot of things. And then sometimes I just don't feel as inspired. But my IT helps me a lot. I'm able to just do a lot of things for myself, create links and blah, blah, blah. Like I'm just able to find my way around. Like even if you've seen my books, I'm the one who designed the book covers for quite a while, like even probably layouting my books. Like those are things I even enjoy doing. It's like my creativity outlet. In a way, I do them for fun. Bold stewardship. There's nothing in your life that is wasteful. Even things that you did and maybe don't use them much, it doesn't mean that they will never be useful in your life. And then also bold steward of my networks, just on listing down the networks you have in terms of people in your life, different networks. I know some of us here are very networked. You are very rich in terms of networks, people that you know, places that you go, like you're rich in your network. So that is also part of bold stewardship. Some of us, when it comes to your resources, it's also your wealth, probably your personality. Are you creative or are you logical? Are you artistic or are you logical in terms of how you think? Are you a feeler or a thinker? Are you structured or unstructured? All that has to do with your wiring. And that is part of stewardship, bold stewardship. If I'm structured, I'm efficient, I run like a clock. If I'm unstructured, probably I keep on going through creativity flares. That is part of still bold stewardship. And then some of us, it's the insights you have. There's just how you see things in a very unique way. Those insights and how you understand things, how you process things, that is part of your wealth in terms of bold stewardship in those areas. Some of us, it's wisdom. You're so deep. You are so deep. You're such a deep well. That is part of your resource as well and bold stewardship. And some of us, it's just your brilliance. You're just this brilliant girl. You're so brilliant. The way you just think, the way you see things, the way you organize things, the way you execute, like there's so much brilliance in you. And so I hope by now everybody has more than 10 statements of I am bold steward. I'm a bold steward, and these are the ways I keep on showing up. Good job, well done. And so we keep going. And when you're thinking about your resource assessment, your wealth assessments, these are the places I would want you to look. Number one, we look above in terms of, first of all, I look to God. I came from God. Everything I have comes from God. And so every time I'm assessing my resources, I look above. And looking above is probably these times we spend even in prayer, in meditation, in reflection. That is part of looking above. So that it's like you're also telling God to keep on downloading more into you. And I really love this scripture that says, it's in 2 Peter 1:3, it's one of my favorites. His divine power has given us everything that pertains to life and godliness through the knowledge of him. I always think I have everything I need for everything that God would want me to do in my lifetime. And so bold stewardship is looking above when you're assessing your resources. And so look above. Keep on asking God if you're not sure. Like, what did you create me for? What do you want me to do? How can I take care of all these things that I've listed down right now? That is part of looking above. And looking above is just living in that realization of there's someone bigger than me. I'm here for something bigger than just my survival and my sustenance and just me, I and myself. I'm here for something more. And looking above is also reminding myself that I need to also depend on God. Just the way John 15 reminds us, without him we can, like even my execution, my implementation, my impact, God is keep on looking above. And then number 2, look behind in terms of where you come from, your history, your story, your upbringing. Many times when our past has a lot to do with traumas and there are traces of traumas in our past, it's very easy for us to hibernate and to hide those ugly places in our lives. But you know what? Those parts are also resources. They're parts of your resources. Like personally, looking behind, just remembering myself as a 16-year-old who was suicidal, that is what inspires me to coach preteens and teens. That is how when I started teaching preteens and teens, I discovered that women, moms, are very, very influential over their children. And that is how man writing. That is how with time, we started inviting parents to this conversation. By looking behind, I was like, what if parents were empowered? That is why we have the Leading Generations program or Leading Change, Bold Parenting, and I'm happy to see Carotida here, who is our community manager. And also, that is how I looked, and I was like, if teachers are more positive and more positively, then we would have a better world. That was looking behind because I was like, there were so many teachers who Mrs. Mandai in class 3, she didn't like me. This one just started just beating me up. She had this black mamba in this dreaded math class. I was not good in math, and of course, you can imagine what the outcome was. I never got it. And then there was this in high school. Also looking behind, I mean, he really used to put us down. If you're a cabbage, go and sit near a pumpkin. Pumpkin was
Hi.
Hi.
Perhaps kindly let me interject. I think your voice is fading out.
Oh my goodness, again. All right. Let me just log in on my phone. I should have done this a while ago. Give me a sec. I hope I'm better now. Hope. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Thanks, Marie.
Yeah.
Am I okay? Oh,
Yes.
now where did I lose you at? Where did I fade out? Someone can remind me the last thing before I faded out. What did I say?
You're talking about Carol Tuda being part of the Leading Generation, something of that sort.
Awesome, yeah. And so I was talking about looking behind, like in terms of the places I was able to look behind and feel like there's a sense of, wealth, or probably there's deep wealth there. And there is also that sense of bold stewardship in terms of I need to take charge of what happened in my past. I need to process it. I need to make honey out of the eater, like the lions in my life. And I was sharing how I was a suicidal teenager. And that is what has given me all this, like probably all this coaching outfit has been built out of that, because we started with children. And it's just because I used to feel like nobody understood me as a teenager and nobody was really there for me. So how can I be there for children, preteens and teens? And that is why we ran the Facing Giants program. And then I was saying after that, we stepped up and started mentoring women, because we were like, by the moms are so influential. When we go to schools and we call parents to come so that we can converse, most of them used to be moms, the ones that will come. And then I remember coming back home and the Lord just putting this burden in my heart. I'm never sure whether it's Proverbs 13 or 14, but the first verse says, a wise woman builds her own house with her own hands, and a foolish woman tears down her house with her own hands. And that is how the burden for starting Woman Arise started. And then it became another bold stewardship moment of journeying with women in 2017. No, that was in 2016. That is when we launched Woman Arise. I remember it was on 5th November. It was on a Saturday morning. And then after that, we had this burden in terms of why don't we just keep on pursuing parents as well? And I was celebrating Carotida, who is a community manager for Leading Generations. We usually have monthly or bi-monthly webinars for parents to just inspire them in terms of raising a whole generation. And then with time, we also started a program for mentors. Like right now, I am working with 3 schools. And of course, also training mentors who are just standalones, people who work with children, or even people who are just passionate about mentoring. We have bold mentors for next gen, and also we have bold mentors for corporates, people who just love journeying with other people to understand how you can be more effective in it. And I was just sharing, all this is from my own experience when I look behind, because I had teachers who were unkind to me, they were hostile to me. I remember like when I was in class 2, Mrs. Madai, who really used to beat me up. Like I never used to even answer questions because I was afraid more than I don't know. And of course, she would beat me until I would go under my locker. And so I definitely hated maths at class 2. And it didn't help that when I went to high school, there was also Mr. Mogwanja, who used to just treat us trashy, especially people who are not maths brilliant. These love sharing with parents about their children who are logical and children who are artistic. And sometimes your child can have an affinity on one direction in terms of they are more artistic than they are logical.
So those children who struggle with logic, maths will not come easy for them. And then there are children who struggle, they are very good in logic, but they struggle with the artistic part. So maybe things like composition, things that require creativity doesn't come easy for them because they just love logic. They just love things that are practical and things that are a bit automated, And so for me, I was more of an artistic child than logical. Like even on my grades, I was really good in languages. I was really good in anything that required creativity. I was in the music club, blah, blah, blah. But my sciences were really suffering, So looking behind, like even when I'm journeying with children, how am I able to have this empathy and to share this? And you know what? When I was young, also looking behind, I wanted to be a lawyer and I wanted to be a juvenile lawyer. Probably because of the injustices that happened in my childhood. I just used to feel like, someone should be there for children. But God gave me a different kind of an expression in terms of now being a life coach, because I'm still able to do advocacy for children in terms of also sometimes bridging the gaps between mentors and children, encouraging them on positive skills and best practices on dealing with children in a positive way. And of course, also just having conversation with parents so that we are able to bridge the challenges of parenting that sometimes hurt children. And then also talking to children themselves, because they are the ones who will make more bold decisions for their lives. So looking behind, you can look behind at your life and you make lemonades out of all the lemons that life threw at you when you were a child. Even right now, like in your recent past, what have you been going through that is challenging? How can you look behind and leverage on that? That is part of resource assessment in terms of bold stewardship, even for those negative things that happened to you. And then look within in terms of your potential. Yeah, we shall be having the Woman Arise Masterclass, where you'll get to do the assessments for your gifts, for your personality, for all these places where you're gifted and, God has called you, and you need to also discover what resources you have in terms of your default settings. So that will be an exciting journey for those of us who will take that. And then, of course, look around in terms of the problems around you, situations, struggles. Even right now, as you look at our country, if you look around and you look close enough, those are resources lying in there. You can be bold steward of even the problems that are happening. You can ride on the tides, even in terms of business opportunities, in terms of opportunities to make impact. Look around. And then, of course, look ahead into the future trends and everything. Right now, when you look at even artificial intelligence, what does it tell you in terms of bold stewardship of such spaces? Because those are still places that we can come in and have dominion and do all that. Oh, Judy, thanks for letting me know it's Proverbs 14:1. By the way, I never seem to figure out whether it's 13:1 or 14:1. Just those scriptures that have not totally stuck. And then stewardship facts, as we start wrapping this up. Number one, all you have is given to others through you. That is a stewardship fact. As we shall be going through this week, through this month, bold stewardship is to remember that there is nothing that you are given that is totally yours. It is given to others through you. For example, my coaching is given to others through me. And so when I'm here coaching you, this is how I'm a good steward for my coaching skills and abilities and experience. And then I'm fully accountable for everything entrusted to me. Will never make excuses. And of course, next week, as we shall be looking about the steward's beliefs, we shall be looking at this in terms of what do you believe about what you have? Is this a false belief? How did you even get there in terms of your conditioning? And so I'm fully accountable for everything entrusted to me, everything. And then the other belief is also, the other fact is my best will always be good enough. There's sometimes your best is 40% and that is all you have. And when you give 40%, then that was good enough. There's some days you will wake up and your best is like 20%. If you give 20%, that is good enough. Don't always fault yourself and just be, the devil's advocate in your life every time you are putting yourself down and criticizing yourself because you're not feeling at 100%. Every day it's just about faithfulness. When you give your best and you give your all, then that was good enough for that day. And every day you wake up and every day you go back to, you're retiring and you're back home and you're going to bed, just ask yourself, did I give my 100% today? Was my 100% probably 40% for that day? And if I did that, then it was good enough, so that you don't also allow yourself to always shame yourself for the days that probably you're not able to optimize. Because stewardship is more about faithfulness than perfection. So don't always think 100%, just think, I gave my best. I gave my all for that day and for that season. And the Bible talks about it in Proverbs chapter 1, no, not Proverbs, Psalms chapter 1, that blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or sit in the seat of the scoffers, or walk in the ways of the sinners, but his delight is in the law of the Lord. And then it says, you shall be like a tree planted by the water, bearing fruit in and out of season. And so when you think about different seasons of life, you can be in winter and you're still fruitful. And of course, during winter, you may not give birth to 100 or 1,000 apples, but maybe you can drop a branch, and that branch will be firewood for someone who is feeling cold. That is still good enough. You know, don't always feel like I need to always show up at my optimum. That is a fallacy. And God doesn't even expect that of us. God expects us to show up faithfully. Some days it will be so hard, and when you show up, you will still be fruitful. And so your best will always be good enough. And then I will give an account for everything entrusted to me. Yeah, there will be a day of reckoning and accountability, where I will stand and give an account for everything that was entrusted to me. And that is why it's important for you to work hard to discover your potential, discover your abilities, discover your sweet spots, because you will give account. And some of us, it will be so sad to give accounts on things that you didn't bother to become aware of. And so you're not a good steward because you're not even sure, or you're not aware that you had those resources. And that is why I will encourage you, probably, if you'll be able to, please join the Woman Arise Masterclass, which will be running next month, so that you can be able to, not next month, it's actually later this month. We will communicate. I hope all of us are in the community, in the Reconfidence with Paps community. You are there some way, so that when you post the link, you see it. What is the name of your YouTube channel? My YouTube channel is Reconfidence with Paps. Please, Marie, maybe you can grab my YouTube channel link and share here, so that guys can subscribe. And then I also have a community, the Reconfidence with Paps. There are so many groups in there, but just be in the community, so that when you post the link to sign up for the Woman Arise Masterclass, you'll be able to get it, and of course sign up for it. And then you'll be able to do all those assessments for you to just profile yourself in a way to be able to see this is the profile of who Paps is. First of all, it helps in stabilizing your identity, so that your self-perception and your self-concept is well formed, and you're able to understand yourself better. And then number two, what it does, it gives you the confidence to go all out and use what you have and be who God created you to be, in terms of always trying to adjust to what people would like you to be. You become the confident version of yourself, and you also start living in self-assurance, in terms of, you know, this is Paps and this is how I show up. You stop living, you start living unapologetically, and you also stop living for people and for what people want, and you start living for how God has wired me and what He's put in me. And then finally, everything I have is to point everyone to Him. That is the bottom line of everything in my life. Everything supposed to point people to Jesus. It's like my life is a signpost. And when I understand that, first of all, it puts the pressure off me, in terms of it's not about me. I need to even knock out of my own self-importance. Sometimes I really exaggerate my self-importance, and sometimes we all do. You know, you can really feel like it's about me. People are looking up to me. No, they should be looking up to Jesus. Even Paul says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. In terms of ultimately, all of us should be imitating Christ. Mimi ninapambana na nyinyi mnapambana, tunakutana juu. And so it's important for you to also remind yourself that everything that you have is to point everyone to Christ. Your business, your career, your family, your friendships, even your networks, all those things that you've listed in terms of I'm a bold steward of this and this and this and this, all those things should point people to Christ. In a way, people should love God more by just being connected to you, associating with you. They should admire God more. They should hunger and thirst for God in a way. They're like, yeah, but they will want to figure out, what is this in Paps's life? What is this in Sarah's life? What is this in Susan's life? People should have that hunger and desire, because everything about our lives should point us to Him. And as we wrap this up, stewardship fact, this is my parting shot. 1 Corinthians 9:16 says, yet preaching the good news is not something I can boast about. I am compelled by God's grace to do it. How terrible for me if I didn't preach the good news. And there's one that says, woe unto me if I do not preach the good news. And woe unto you. You can even write several woe statements unto you. Like personally, the statements that I wrote when I was reading this and when I was studying this last month, that was in January. Last month, January 10, last month, part 1, yeah. I just wrote, how terrible for me if I don't coach. How terrible for me if I don't do the trainings. How terrible for me if I don't write more books. How terrible for me. And so what are the things that you know God has called you to do? I want you to start with the how terrible statement. Some of us, God has called us to even probably pray for people and journey with them. How terrible for me if I don't mentor. How terrible for me If I don't do amazing businesses, if my business doesn't go international, how terrible for me. So write down statements that will just remind you how terrible for you. And terrible is just that sense of dread and that sense of unfulfillment that you will feel at the end of your life if you don't do the things that you know God has called you to do. For Paul, it was preaching. What is it for you? And Paul says, it's not something I do and I'm doing it for fun, and I show up and every day I have a smile. Do you know, if there's one thing that I've struggled to do the most, it's do webinars consistently, especially just these free webinars. I have many coaching programs that I do, and there's sometimes I don't even feel like doing them. But for me, it's just how terrible for me if I don't allow myself to be faithful with what God has entrusted to me. Even the times for writing the books. Do you know, I wrote my book in 2021. No, I wrote my book in 2018 and I launched it in 2021. Yeah, 2021. That was the confidence book. Was it 2021 or 2022? Yeah, it was 2021. So for 3 years, I was just feeling like, sasa kitabu, like, how can I publish a book? How can I do this? Kwani, yeah, it doesn't even sound like this English doesn't even sound together. Are these concepts even making sense? And then that book that I postponed to publish for 3 years is the book that won an award last year, the African Christian Authors Book Awards. How terrible for me if I don't write more books. How terrible for me. I want you to write how terrible for me statements for your life. How terrible for me if this brand that I'm building up doesn't become, an international brand. How terrible. How terrible for Caro if she doesn't become the HR extraordinary in the C-suite offices, in the corporate spaces. Yeah, I'm just picking on Caro because I know her. How terrible for Marie Moroki, who is an amazing food scientist. If you don't discover new ways, new nice ways of us taking broccoli without feeling like it's broccoli. Just teasing you. How terrible. But just think about how terrible if you don't do the things that you know God has called you to do. Even Sarah Guantai, if your brand of hairline and skincare products, if they don't go to the nations, if they don't go to Africa and make ripples in the market and find their spaces in even these big brands, they will collaborate with you. How terrible for me. So just write statements of how terrible for me. How terrible for me. Even Rosemary, Rose M, if you don't go to Aki Awards, and I don't know what other awards are there globally, and you are really, really, really brilliant, you're a financial advisor as well. How terrible. Write down how terrible statements. I hope we've done like 5 for now. How terrible for me if I don't preach the good news. And I want you to also write how terrible statements. Just go back to your list. You remember the list we wrote about I'm a bold steward, and you wrote the areas you're a good steward in? That is where your how terrible lists need to come from. And with that, that is where we come to the end of our time this morning. And I want to hear some feedback from us in terms of what is your take home from today's session? What will be different from you? I want you to share on the chat. Let's go. What is your take home from today's session? How are you going to challenge yourself to become better, to do more? Yeah, let's share. What is your take home from today's session? So like I said, our conversation is bold stewardship. And today is session 1. And every week we shall be here going to different directions on bold stewardship. I'm sharing my screen again on the first slide. What is your take home from today's session? And for those of us who are probably don't mind, you can just unmute yourself and share. I'm also those people who prefer talking over typing. And then some of us can also be typing. What is your take home from today's session? What are you taking away? What is your challenge? What is your insight on bold stewardship? Let's go to the chat and share. You can also unmute yourself and share. Anyone ready to go?
Perhaps I can share.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
So, what being a steward is all about, bold stewardship in terms of the spices bit. I think my biggest takeaway is the stewardship fact on my best will always be good enough, because I am a person who really is tough on herself. So I think I'm learning through this program and even the emotionally bold women and just listening in with you. I am learning not to be so hard on myself and also not to settle, but to give wherever I give everything my best to feel that yes, I have done good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks, Maria. Anyone else who wants to go? Before I read on the charts, does anyone want to unmute and share?
Yeah, sure. I can
Yeah,
go.
let's go ahead.
The first one for me, I think that was a point when I came in, was the difference between rich and wealthy. That was a good one, because that to me reminded me of the biblical view of wealth and riches. And so it was a good kick or a good reminder about what is it? What do I want to be rich or do I want to be wealthy? Am I rich or am I wealthy? And so that was the first thing. And then the second one was a statement you made that there's nothing I have been given that's fully mine. It's been given to others through me. And so I was thinking of myself as a pipe. I'm just a channel of distribution of God's resources, of God's abilities, the strengths, the things that we have listed. And so how terrible for me if I don't live another statement that you made. God is not calling us to live perfectly in that sense, but to be faithful. And so I need to stop being so hard on myself. And I'm learning to do that. Yeah. So those are the main takeouts I have.
Very profound. Yeah. Wow. Anyone else who wants to go and share their insights? Yes, so if none, I'm going to read the ones who've shared on the comments, and then we will be checking out shortly. Thanks for your patience. Yeah, this is the morning crew. And so we have, let me just scroll up. Seems like how terrible for me has really scared us, eh? Yeah, today we might really end up having the best Monday ever of high performance. And that is the essence of why we usually have this get your ball back. There's someone who was like, why can't we be doing it on Sunday night? I'm like, Asha, Monday morning, because we want to kick in our energies when we wake up on Monday. We are looking forward to have that as the best week ever. So Carol says making goals from big ones to mini weekly ones. Yeah, we need to break down those annual goals into monthly goals, into weekly to-do lists, and into daily action points. That is how you're able to break it down into micro goals until you achieve everything that is on your list. And I've really been trying that. I'm so glad. Like, for example, when it started from January up to now, at least I've managed to do 80% of what I had planned last year. I'm hoping to keep that momentum throughout the year. Audrey says, my take home, know my why, and then find out my how, and make decision based on that. Absolutely. I really love that, Audrey. It's just how you've been crystallized some ideas to sound like that. And Carol says, how terrible for me if my life is just about myself and I. Boy, yeah, that will be another boy. Sasa ka ingekuwa how terrible ka ni Paul angekuwa anaandika saizi angekuwa nasema boy, we. Yeah, those will be the statements that Paul will be using. And then Silva K has shared this. Whatever she's written here is what she has shared. Yeah, that is very profound. Sarah says the very last point on how terrible it is, it just struck me in a way. Yeah. Yeah, Sarah, go for it. May God give us courage. If you said bold stewardship is about faithfulness, I keep on showing up. I take risks. I might fail. It's fine. Personally, I've done so many things and not all of them succeeded. And I'm very big on experimenting with new things. Do you know all these programs that we do, all of them that are in the Confidence with Pups, we created them last year, all those programs. They are high risk. We ran them, and God really breathed his life into them. They were very impactful. And of course, we'll keep on creating more programs because how terrible it is if I don't coach. And then Rose M, how terrible for me if I don't win the International Travel Award. Hey, how terrible for you. Usipoenda Dubai na Maldives, utaambia watu nini, Rosemary? I never looked at this scripture that way. My take home is I'm a good steward. to the gifts that the Lord has given me. Absolutely. And you're really amazing in what you do. And then, Sarah, how can we get to know about your products? Silvakia is asking. Yeah, Sarah has shared her contacts. Yeah, this is a place of networking as well. And like I said, we shall be having, maybe we can be doing this every last month, every last Monday of the month. We can actually be networking a bit to just share what we do. I hope we will be coming on time because we normally do all that at the start of our session. So Mary, please remind me to do a networking session when you're starting first on the last Monday of this month. Sophie is saying, since God has truly blessed us with so much, how terrible for me if I don't tell us about Christ to know what God is able to. God is able to bless us. Very true, very true. Let's also remind ourselves everything in our lives is supposed to show God. There's some people who will probably not outrightly go and preach to and, just started quoting verses from the Bible, but how we live our lives, how we do business, how we show love to them. That is how the Bible has called us to be salt and light. Those are very practical roles because salt, it's about bringing God's flavors. It's about healing. It's about, just being there in a helpful, functional way. We preserve lives. We bring that aspect of people thirsting for God because of how they see us quenching our thirst. And light is just beautiful. A city on a hill that cannot be hidden, to just be attractive, to be big, to be huge. God is not intimidated by you becoming a big brand, by you becoming the biggest thing, the flashiest thing. Some of us have grown up with wrong theology where you feel like you need to minimize yourself. I don't want to be proud. I don't want to be a big flashy thing. No, the Bible says, let your light shine so that people can see your good works, not God, people can see your good works. And then what will they do when they see their good works? And give glory to your heavenly Father. So let your light shine. It is not even God's light, your light, because if you're shining for God, then that is God's light shining through you. And so when I'm shining my light, for example, as a life coach, I am shining God's light by extension. And so perhaps let your light shine as you coach so that people may see your good works, the good works of perhaps, your skillfulness, your experience, your knowledge, and for example, also just the virtue of God that flows through you. And then what will they do? When they see it, they will give glory to your heavenly Father. That is how we preach through our lives. So just remind yourself, that is the order, but woe unto you if you do not preach in the way that God has called you to preach. And Lord, we just pray that you may give us courage, that our lives will be a city on a hill that cannot be hidden. Give us courage, give us knowledge, and Lord, also give us wisdom, give us ideas, practical ways of showing up in the areas you've called us to influence, to do things. I pray that this week shall be a week of productivity, a week of bold moves, a week of bold stewardship. Give us, Lord, that aspect of boldness. We will not fear to invest ourselves. We will not fear to put ourselves out there. We will not fear to revamp our CV and send it out there. We will not be afraid. We will not be afraid. This is that week that we are not afraid to be stewards of what you've put in us. We pray that you may help us to keep on being aware of everything you've invested in us. You have invested so much in us. There's so much in us, Lord. We pray that we shall be able to live it out. We shall also be able to use it to impact others. Father, we pray that we shall be able to live beyond ourselves. May you live your life through us, oh God, that we may be those people that Jehovah God, people see our good works and they glorify our heavenly Father. Father, bring your glory, just glorify yourself through us. Bring glory to yourself through our lives, through our giftings, through our abilities, through our experiences, through our lives, through our assets, through our resources, everything that we are and that we have. Use it for your glory because you're a good, good Father. We pray that you may give us courage in everything we are doing and everything that you want us to do, everything you've called us to do. Give us courage to do your will. For it is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, so God bless you guys. Looking forward to see you again on Monday, same time. We meet at exactly 7. Don't miss it, up to 8 a.m. Yeah, thanks for your patience today. We are 6 minutes over. Yeah, and we're looking forward to talk. Thank you for talking about suicidal. I don't understand that message, Sophie. Oh, yeah. Oh, about myself. Yeah, about myself being a suicidal teen. Yes, I got that. Yeah, and I really thank God for my life story and for just how every time I see God do something through me, I'm usually like, wow, God, because I know this is just that girl that was suicidal when she was 15, 25 years ago, and God does all this through her. I always feel so humbled. Whenever God does anything in my life that is great, I'm just like, wow, God, because I know that is the girl that I was, doomed to be, but God, by his grace, made me this person that I am today. And I love sharing about it. Thank you, Sophie, for the encouragement. All right, ladies, have a very, very wonderful Monday. We will see you on Monday again. And of course, see you in all the communities for the prayers in the morning from 4 to 5 a.m. Those of us who are in the physically bold woman, emotionally bold woman, yeah, we'll see you there. Good day. God bless. Bye.